Welcome back to the Seven Deadly Sins Anime Review, Episode 5. Excuse me. Excuse me. This one I'm reviewing the 21st episode of Revival of the Commandments, Certain Warmth. Yeah, and I'm also giving my thoughts overall what's been going on in the manga since the arc this one's adapting has ended. Yeah, this episode adapts chapters 180 to 183. Yeah, 4 chapters. So, and this arc only goes to like chapter 196, so this arc is probably going to last for about it because the season is going to be is 24 episodes. The final episode probably would adapt to the last 5 chapters of this particular arc, and that's probably where the thing is going to end at. I mean, it's just a possibility. It just depends upon the animators. This one picks up right where the last episode left off, where one of the weird fangs. Yeah, this particular guy, last time he showed up was back during his debut in the Bastille arc, where it was the prison. He was basically in charge of the prison where Bond was being held. Bond himself does appear in the episode. I mean, he doesn't show up to like the very end. And I remember I'll talk about the ending in a minute. Basically, mostly the big thing about this episode is the return of Zadros, the former Chief Holy Knight who was killed off 10 years prior to the start of the series, and whose death this was who was to people who took the blame for it was the Seven Deadly Sins. They were framed for his murder, and he was able to be brought back thanks to events what happened during the most recent arc prior to this one, during the events of Ravens, where they brought back Elaine and several other characters. Excuse me, most of I regret, and a lot of people, and when Elizabeth saw him, she knew exactly who this was due to his manners and the fact how well she knew him when he was originally alive. Yes, and mostly put, this particular episode is just exploring the past, exploring like how Elizabeth got the Lelonis, where she was the survivor of the destruction of our previous kingdom, and she was brought there by Meliodas, who, in agreement with the king, in order to adopt Elizabeth into the family, Meliodas becomes one of the Holy Knights. Which initially they were kind of took back by it, like, you're a kid. And yeah, he was able to beat the current Holy Knight in a quick little duel. He says, I surrender, and he would become a quickly successful Holy Knight. And of course, reveals slowly stuff like revealing that apparently Meliodas basically made a vow to Elizabeth when she was a little girl, he would always come back to her. And that's how that part ends. And then the episode itself ends basically seeing the king himself and having it where he's protected. I mean, him and his two eldest daughters, Margaret and Veronica, are protected by Gila. Jericho is in another room with Gila's little brother. And we also see one of the one of the gray demons pouring through the room. And then we see like two of the Ten Commandments just plowing through the kingdom of Leonis like crazy. And we also see I think it's Dreyfus, who was possessed by one of the Ten Commandments. It's not actually a Ten Commandments, because they feel this in the previous episode that he's actually filling in for the actual one. Excuse me, in the actual Ten Commandment that he's filling in for, is Geldard. Basically Gildar's creator, who's basically got the same name. Yep. And the episode ends with the sin of love, the guy who actually killed Meliodas in the previous episode. Basically, everyone's like paralyzed, cannot move. Like everyone's got so much hate to him because he's the commandment of love. And then basically here comes Alsor in his Hulk form, and he says to him, and Alsor is like, the sin of the commandment of love is like, why is my power affecting you? He says, because I don't hate my enemies, I pity them. And then he introduces himself, I'm the sin of pride. I'm the sin of pride. I'm pride. The lion sin Alsor. And that's how the episode ends. Really great episode. Nice way to end the episode with this big, huge, shocking cliffhanger of these two going to get into a fight. And they do fight in the manga. It's a pretty brilliant fight that happens in the manga. I can't wait to see how it's shown in the anime. I mean, what's happened to this particular arc? Well, of course, Meliodas himself does get out of his little coma he's in. Though he gets a little more vengeful, and actually starts to become evil in the manga. To the point where he kills Arthur. Well, supposedly kills Arthur. Never confirmed his actual death. Merlin is devastated by it. Let's see, what else? Eventually, Bond does go and tries to get his emotions back. He succeeds, and Meliodas turns back normal. Though they run into another talking pig with Tusk, and it turns out this is Hawk's older brother. And they suspect it is Hawk because, well, he's a talking pig, and he kind of looks like it's like, Hawk, who's Hawk? My brother's name is Mild. He probably suspected, and it turns out it was to be civilian and stuff like that. It was a really interesting way to start the manga. I mean, I'm curious though how Elizabeth is going to react to seeing her lover alive again. Also, Deanne and King have simply become lovers themselves. Yeah, they hooked up though at the end of this particular arc. King decides to go bathing in a lake, and then all of a sudden there's Deanne, butt naked, and look like she's about to do a bathing too. It takes a little while. Of course, they also go do some training with two of the Ten Commandments. Turns out they're both the first king of the fairies, and I also read that King Harlequin is actually the third king of the fairies, and the four-armed giant is the king of the giants. And apparently, Deanne has been chosen sort of as modern-day successor to the position of basically being in charge of the giants. Yeah. Now, as for... So basically, kind of at this point, you have Bond with Elaine, you have King with Deanne, Meliodas and Elizabeth probably hook up again. They're probably confessional couple soon. But that does kind of leave Esther and Merlin. I mean, Esther... Now, Merlin kind of she does kind of... It's implied that she knows that Hester has feelings for her, but she's never said anything about it. As a matter of fact, since they reunited, they've only interacted very few times. Like one scene that she's taking a bath and he's giving her a massage. Yep. And there's also a side story of apparently seeing Merlin and Deanne in a bikini, and it makes King and Elsa give themselves nosebleeds. Yeah, I'm like, okay, did the writer of the series borrow that from Sanji from One Piece? Because he does the same thing whenever he sees drop dead gorgeous women. Yeah, it's something that he started post time skip. It goes over he does do it. And eventually, in the series, he gets treatment by seeing pictures of Robin and Nami. They're sort of getting treatment for it. Yeah, but it's quite hilarious. And also, apparently, Deanne has basically developed a new ability where she can go human size or giant size at will. Yeah, somehow she's basically developed this particular skill. And I love the fact that King and Deanne are basically a couple, because this is a couple that does work. And oh yeah, she's also regained her memories. The fact that she doesn't remember about King's promise to come back to her, which he did. And that somehow when they hooked up, the way they kissed was kind of a bit awkward, because she's a giant, he's a fairy. So it almost looks like the way she's kissing him is that looks like she's about to almost absorb his face because of how big she is. Yeah. And King is so happy the fact that she recuperates the same feelings toward him that he has toward her, which was really nice. And overall, the manga is just really, really good. And I personally can't wait for the next chapter that comes out for the series. And of course, the newest episode of the anime, which is going to be next week. And it's going to be the 22nd episode of the season. And it's called Return of the Sins. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Otherwise, though, that's it. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I might have a comment corner tomorrow. It's a possibility I might have one tomorrow. Just depends. Yeah, just depends. I'm slowly catching up with the Black Clover manga. I'm currently about 108 chapters in, and I have exactly 52 chapters left to go for the entire series. So I'll probably catch up with that manga pretty soon. As for starting that particular anime, I might start it this coming weekend or the following weekend. It just depends on exactly how long it takes me to finish up 52 chapters. Who knows? Alright, now tomorrow expect to see definitely a review because I'm moving this back to Tuesday now because the dub doesn't air for a week. Expect to see a review of the newest episode of Tokyo Ghoul Re. Yeah, I'm going to review that tomorrow. Alright? But enjoy, see you in the next review. Bye.